Hi there, it's Hyacinth Fraser here from Property in Action. Please do subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be informed of more videos. Anyway.
Okay, cool.
All right, Ross, can you just talk to us about who you are, what you do?
Yeah, of course I can. So for me, I've got the name of the Agent Whisperer. I'll be honest with you, it's a tag that I wasn't sort of really pleased with when I first got it. And I was told it's marketing gold, so I've run with it ever since. But yeah, what I do is I specialise in helping people secure creative deals around the UK by giving them practical training. That's what I do in a nutshell.
Okay, lovely. So I know one of your key strategies is rent to serviced accommodation. Talk to us about what that is and why you do that. Ross, how do you say your surname, by the way? That's what I wanted to check.
So it's Mallalieu, French ancestors.
Okay. Okay.
Please call me Ross Eisen, okay?
Okay.
So, yeah, just to explain a little bit more, you know, what I do and sort of why I target sort of rent to rent SA. I'll be honest with you, I got into the industry 11 years ago and it was all HMO. Now, if you can imagine, my target audience is corporate clients. And what's actually happened over the last sort of 5 years or so, my client base has evolved from wanting HMOs to wanting service accommodation. So naturally, I've had to move with what my client wants.
Sure.
So main reason why I focus on rent to rent SA is because the corporate clients I target en masse, that's exactly what they want. So therefore, I give them what they want. And then for me, so it was two parts to that question. So it was why rent to SA.
Yeah, and you work with agents mostly, don't you? Why do you work with agents?
Quite simply, I'm the probably laziest salesman you've ever come across in your life, and I want to do things the quickest way, the fastest way, with that as little work as possible. Now, quite simply, the easiest way to describe it is, if I spend 20 minutes on the phone to a landlord, I might get lucky, and he may have one, two, or she may have 1, 2, or 10 properties they control or own. At the point I've called, if I'm really lucky, maybe 2 or 3 are available of that portfolio of 10. Now, I can spend 20 minutes on the phone to an agent. They may have 100 properties on their portfolio currently that I can access, and maybe 4 to 5 offices in a local area. So, being the lazy salesman that I am, quite simply, I can spend 20 minutes on the phone to an agent and access over 500 units. So for me, that's the option I focus on because I need units en masse. I'm not after 1 or 2, I'm after multiple in any one location.
Okay, so what about people who are new to this business, haven't got much of a track record, they've just established their limited company, they go into an agent and an agent really not terribly interested. What are some of the objections that agents have and how might people new to the property business overcome those?
So I think, first of all, before they go into their target area, because this is a common mistake I do daily. So let's say, just for argument's sake, it's Manchester's the target area. Rather than practicing your trade in the area you're about to target, what makes more sense is to maybe look at an area that's got no relevance to you. So maybe look at, say, Newcastle, maybe look at Sunderland and use that as a trial area. So if you can imagine, you practice your pitch in an area that's not relevant to you, you would master your trade in a different location, and then you would bring it back to Manchester and try and implement that. And then for me, you can hit the ground running because you've practiced it. I'd say that's one thing that's critical, and so many people fall foul of that mistake. You know, they pick an area, try and infiltrate that area, and they get the worst pitches out of the way in their gold mine. So for me, it makes more sense to look at a different location, practice your pitch there, master it, bring it back to the target location, deliver, and you get a better result. So I'd say that's the first thing I'd be looking at. Now, in regards to type of objections that you're going to get, it's usually along the lines of, you know, we only deal with family lets. We only, you know, we don't do subletting. We need to know the names of every single person that goes into that property. They're the type of objections that you're going to get. And let me just give you a few tips on handling them. Now, for me, every single objection you ever get, no matter what it is, from an agent, landlord, developer, even a partner on a personal level, you can start off with, I appreciate and I understand. It needs to be the first 2 words out your mouth for any single objection you ever receive. Okay? the idea is to say, I appreciate, I understand, and then overcome that objection. So what I would suggest is, no matter what the objection is, you need to target the problem with a solution. So if they're concerned about, let's say, damage, you would then emphasize the, comprehensive insurance package you have in place, or you would emphasize the cleaning teams that are in place to maintain that. So I think start off with appreciate and understand is the first tip I'd give you, and then target the problem with a solution that's directly related to the problem, if that makes sense.
Okay. Can you just give us a couple of practical examples of how you would use that I appreciate, I understand, and then offer solutions?
Yeah, of course. So let's say, for example, Mr. Agent says, I'm concerned that you would damage that unit. What you would say is, look, I appreciate and I understand your concern. However, I've got a number of things in place to prevent that scenario. For example, I have a comprehensive insurance package in place that acts as an extra layer of security for you, the agent, and your landlord. I also, additionally to the insurance package, I have professional cleaning teams going into these units once, twice a week to maintain the standard. So it's directly targeting the problem with the solution and doing it in a way that's not confrontational. Appreciate, understand is, for me, the most non-confrontational way we can overcome that objection.
Okay. Lovely. Okay, so can you just talk to us a little bit about, I know you've got you've got some books, you've got services that you have on offer. I think you're starting to promote, aren't you, your tips in corporate letting? Can you just talk to us about that, and why would that be useful to anyone?
Yeah, by all means. So for me, I think corporate clients or contractors is very much like the holy grail when it comes to creative property. Everybody wants them as the end user, but for me, not a lot of people understand how to approach them, how to attract them, and most importantly, how to transact with these people. So if you can imagine, for 11 years, that's all I've focused on, targeting corporate clients en masse. Obviously, I've accumulated a number of tips and tricks that get me results, and quite simply, I've put them all together in a book. So the serviced accommodation industry can literally pick up the tips and tricks I've picked up over the years to get results in a nutshell.
Okay, so just give us an example of where or how people might target corporate clients.
So there's a million different ways to do it. Again, you could target head offices within a particular area to basically offer your services. You could tie in with, let's say, for example, airports. So for me, I'm Manchester Airport's close to me. So what we can do is get onto their internal intranet system. So they have an internal intranet that allows their personnel to access whatever it may be within the airport. Now, again, a tip is to try and get your units or your service onto that intranet, so then you're accessing pilots, air stewardesses, you're accessing technical people coming in to carry out maintenance work for runways, etc. So that's what I can give you. Another additionally to that, again, I do have quite a lot I've picked up over the years, hence the book. But another sort of similar way to target hospitals. So same scenario, hospitals have internal intranets where you've got like the doctors, the nurses, all accessing this information. Our job is to try and get our properties and our services onto that intranet to support coming to the hospital on ad hoc basis. And just to give a bit more information to that, now the NHS, it's evolved massively since I first got into the industry, where what would happen is, let's say they were needed a brain surgeon, they would employ that brain surgeon on a PAYE. But then the NHS worked out quite quickly that if, let's say, that brain surgeon goes on the sick or on holidays, the cost can be very, very expensive to the NHS. So what's happening? Bringing brain surgeons from, say, like Eastern Europe, they're loading them up with loads of work and then sending them back home. So if you can imagine, they come in for like 2 to 3 month stints, get loaded with a load of brain surgery work, and then they send them back to, wherever they've come from. And then it just means they don't have to have on a PAYE. They're not sort of governed to pay holiday pay, sick pay. And for me, that's perfect for the people I target, because you've got people coming in on, good wages, coming in for a short period, where do they go? Do they go to a hotel for 3 months? Or do they go speak to an agent and try and get a 3-month tenancy, which, just to let you know, is not going to happen. So for me, provide a solution to limited opportunity to be accommodated, quite simply.
Okay, fabulous. I know one of the things you talk about and really concerned about, Ross, is compliance. So just talk to us about the importance of the property ombudsman service, appropriate insurances in place, that kind of thing.
So for me, I'd say I've been training people for like 4.5, 5 years now. And I would say that's the number one thing why people fall down. They've got the foundations. You know, they're not associated with the relevant bodies. For example, as you mentioned, property ombudsman, you know, they haven't got, let's say, data protection licenses in place. And for me, it's just setting up your business to fall down. You know, with any business, foundations in place before you get going. You know, whether it's a baker, they need to go and get a shop premises. They need to make sure that they've got equivalent sort of food hygiene certificates, etc. It's no different to us. We set up a business, put the foundations in place for the business to stand up on its own and be not a position to be shot at. Because unless you've got everything in place, ultimately it's a matter of when it falls down. So what I would suggest is, guys, is just to make sure that, you know, you've got everything in place down to your insurance, to your, you know, data protection license, to websites, because ultimately, how do you expect to do anything in this business or get anybody to take you seriously without those basic things in place? So a little tip for you, there's a property, it's called Property Compliance by Tina Walsh. Personally, I would be purchasing that book because that, for me, will give you the basics, what you need to make sure you're fully compliant in this business.
Okay, lovely. I know one of the things that you do is do on-patch training. So you go to people's localities, walk into estate agents with them, and just really talk us through what you do on one of those patch days.
No problem. So we usually, obviously I offer 1 day's training, I offer 2 days patch training. For me, to get 11 years into 1 day, I'm not a superhuman and I do struggle. So it usually carries out over 2 days.
Okay.
What I do is I specialise, and again, apologies for the trainers that are listening to this, I specialise in where the other trainers fall down, where for me, there's a lack of practical skills in this industry. And ultimately, that's exactly what I target and focus on. So I show people from the start to finish how to set up the business in a compliant manner by physically going through each step to make sure the foundation's in place. Then to that, I show them from start to finish how to transact on deals over the phone with agents like developers. And then I also show them from start to finish how to transact in person by physically taking them into the agents, showing what to say, what not to say. But most importantly, physically doing it in front of them. So then for me, they can just rinse and repeat that scenario to get a result. Okay. So I focus purely on the practical elements. And for me, physically showing people how to do it rather than being told, this is what you need to do.
Okay, fabulous. Ross, I know you've got quite an active Facebook page and you've got loads and loads of resources on it, loads of videos, files, just really, really loads of useful stuff. So talk to us about how people can contact you.
So again, I have a Facebook business page, which is called The Agent Whisperer. There's obviously lots of information on there, how you can get in touch with me. One thing I would say that I think would be good for the listeners is I have an Agent Whisperer help desk. It's completely free of charge. It's content that's relevant to anybody looking at, you know, rent to rent, whether it's multi-let, HMO or SA. There's lots of useful stuff in there. It's completely free of charge, and they can access that via my Agent Whisperer business page. I have a rent-to-rent support group, which also they can access me and more content, which is the rent-to-rent support group for HMO and serviced accommodation. Or by all means, they can go onto my website, which is, I'll give you the details, which is www.agentwhisperer.co.uk.
Okay, lovely. Ross, just spell your surname for us so that people can easily access you via Facebook.
Certainly, yeah. So the surname is M for Mother, A for Alpha, L for Lima, L for Lima, A for Alpha, L for Lima, I for Indigo, E for Echo, U for Uniform.
Right, Ross, that was really, really, really helpful. Thank you. So I just want to ask people on YouTube to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Thank you, Ross. That's fantastic.
No problem at all.